I don't know how many posts that was. I want to say like 10 or 15 or something ridiculous.
30 or
Really?
something. It was a lot. Because it was like, we would break down, we went on a food and drink crawl. And I think like, we went to like 10 places in a day. And then for that day, we wrote about each place as a separate entry. So we like, one day of vacation was 10 blog entries. It just got bloated.
But that's part of what we were trying at that time to do the same thing that we were doing now. Of like, let's really wring out the story and tell everything that we possibly can.
And also, we were going through a service journalism phase of the blog too, because I think it started out as just a personal thing for us to have our memories and for our friends and families to keep up with us. And then we kind of stepped up our game a little bit, and then we were like, well, what if we were China bloggers? And that was kind of at the time that was...
It was definitely, I mean, China blogging was...
failing or over.
Blogging itself, because I think we've talked about it before, that when we were leaving, like in 2010, 2011, we were looking for any kind of information of it, because we knew there were people here. It wasn't like this was a walled off, never
so we were like,
in, and I couldn't even like blogs. It was the end of everyone's blog. Everyone had just finished. They're like, well, we've been here for 10 years.
I either got my book deal, my television deal, or nothing, so it's over.
So there was
but we did go through a period of like, are we bloggers or travel bloggers, and let's go to restaurants and let's go to places, and we'll have so much information and people will come to us as a resource.
What the hell, why not?
And then we forgot that we didn't like doing that, so we did the same thing when we started YouTube. I mean, it's an easy place to start because it is like, you look at the things around you and you give information about the things around you. And it's also like well-known interests of other people to come to you for food and travel.
I mean, there's no one is actually looking for, and what we're doing now
no one's is looking for like esoteric musings on mortality while living in China.
Everyone's looking for, I'm coming to China, where do I stay and what do I eat? And
But that's also a super crowded market, even if we were like super in love with doing that.
And it's also super limited too. At some point you have covered, I mean, China's a giant country, but like at some point, like you've been to the major places that people want to go, and then what else do you do? Like after...
And you just have to keep it updated because everything's opening and closing. Like, we brought a hard copy Lonely Planet with us because from way back I'm a Lonely Planeter. Again, at the tail end of guidebooks when we were coming in China. But so like, there was, especially by our second and third year here, the places in the physical book were just, they didn't exist anymore.
We kept going to places that were like, what are you talking about? This place has this ever existed here? So
I mean, that's
there's plenty of places that we've talked about in blogs or vlogs that like, don't even bother going there. There's nothing there anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Like when we got to a certain point, as after that had happened to us enough, like I don't want to maintain our blog. I want to maintain our blog in terms of like writing about what we're doing now. I don't want to go back and fact check, is blah 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 still open? Is this still across the street from this? Because especially in China, more so I'd say than other places I've been, businesses are opening and closing all the time.
And it's
or changing management, or even moving.
Not even just like small businesses, like things like malls. Like we had the person that was just asking about Computerland the other day, last week.
Oh, right.
That I started to answer it and I was like, I don't actually, I didn't even know the answer of online, because like my second thought was Taobao. First thought was Computerland. I'm like, no, is that even there still? Like, I guess to some extent.
It's still there. Computer World is still there.
And then it was like Taobao, like, well, but we wouldn't really buy, but we bought some of our stuff at a Mac store, but it's not a real Mac store. Well, we went to Chengdu for that. You know what? I can't. This is your job.
Computer World is there. If you want something real good and real specific, go to Chengdu or order it on JD.com. JD.com is way more reliable than Taobao and has built its name on being authentic, but more expensive because it's authentic. That's the info. But if your printer breaks, haul it on down to Computer World and they'll fix it. They fixed ours.
There you go. That's up to date as of right now, but don't follow that tomorrow because
our
might
this
be completely
printer.
different.
Well, don't get me started on printers. They're a lost leader, and they're terrible.
What you print out our scripts on it. Other than that,
yeah.
Printed out a picture of a hamburger the other day.
But no printers are good. No printers are good because those companies just want to sell you ink.
And what good is printing for, anyways? Mad Magazine just closed. Mad
true.
Magazine is over.
But I just got my hole punch. My 4-hole punch.
Oh.
Which can adapt into a 3-hole punch, I think.
That's just for in-house use now.
That's okay. I'm making books. I'm making books just for me.
There's no more books out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people work without printing stuff out. Especially doing visual
Everything's
stuff.
on tablet, though, I would imagine, in the office. I mean, we've left before. We all went with our tablets and our hand-written pads to our meetings at work.
I mean, maybe this is so old-fashioned of me, but even our website specs, like our wireframe, I draw out on a piece of paper before I start to design it.
Well, yeah, but you're in-house, though. Like, if you were still at the paper, do you think anyone is coming in there with a pad of paper other than like maybe 1 or 2 other people?
Well, but here's the thing, is because we still printed out the pages that we were working on because
But we worked at a newspaper. That's
but
almost closed
but that's what I'm saying. I guess all the industries,
that was almost 10 years
all the
ago.
industries that you need to look at are closing. Because I mean, like that's maybe a perfect example is when we proofread on the screen, so many more mistakes got through. There's just something, and maybe everyone was my age or older, so maybe there was paper bias. Maybe kids can
Maybe they
proofread
just
on
couldn't
the
see
screen.
as well. Everyone needed
No, but there's
glasses.
something about like a physical piece of paper that you can write on and circle the mistakes.
Also, you have, if you publish something, it doesn't have to go to the press anymore. You just press the button, and then you could go back and retract that at any point in time.
There's still a stage where you need to look at a physical piece of paper.
Is there?
For proofreading.
Is there, though, anymore? I don't know.
Are you saying people don't proofread? I mean, that's possible.
Maybe they proofread on their tablets or on their screen.
But that's not as effective. You're not as good at that.
Right, but if there is more mistakes, I mean, I see mistakes all the time online on full publications.
I mean,
And
that's maybe the sad thing is the budget cuts are like, well, we don't need proofreaders anymore.
Well, we saw how we treated proofreaders in the office.
Not well, but the proofreaders who worked for AM New York were some of the most professional people that worked in that office, I feel like.
Right. When we
They were part-time, but they took their job very seriously. All of them, I felt like.
Well, yeah, and some of
Good
them,
job.
they've either gone beyond it or run it now.
Yeah, that's true.
So they did their job that well.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, when I'm revising writing, I print it out. I don't read it off my tablet.
Right. But what I'm saying is that I see people at professional publications that things are, if as long as it's not like the content, like I got something wrong that like I quoted somebody,
Well, fact checkers are endangered too.
Right, but you can fix that like right away. If someone's like, you misspelled the, well, I can go back and fix that like from the toilet.
I guess, but wasn't that always a big deal when we like had corrections to send?
Because you're sending it to a printer.
Oh. Oh, you're saying they're not physically printing papers anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that's like hyperbolically
Mad
true.
Magazine just closed.
Oh no!
Did you even know it was still open?
No, but I did see the headline that they aren't. They're just rerunning old content.
Online?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and they can still print thick books that you can go to a bookstore, as we used to call them, and buy the reprints.
I don't know. I think that more paper is being printed than in your millennial future world. Millennials kill paper.
But it's got to be far less than it ever has been.
It is probably less than it is before. But like, my parents still get a paper.
And we still get papers around here.
Yeah, I've been considering signing up for Lujo Daily so I can practice my.
But when I was a kid,
there's a whole stack. Everybody gets the paper.
Everyone used to get the paper. I remember as a kid, like there would always be stacks of paper everywhere in your classroom, in the office, in the house, in your friend's house, and the garage.
When the 𝗵𝗵 gets us all. Then you'll see. We'll all be back to paper. No, I don't know why I've adopted the crotchety old doomsayer position on this.
I'm with you that we should we love books.
I love books. I love reading books as a pastime. The only reason I cottoned to my e-reader is that we moved to China and it's easier to move a Kindle than it would have been to move like 120
That was our hardest part of moving, was selling our entire library.
And then like the first thing we did when we got here was started buying more paper books. But I mean, that, like, looking at stuff on a screen,
well, it's not as fun.
It's harder for me to work with.
I as a comic book reader, like, I don't buy comic books anymore, but the only way I can figure out what's going on in the world is of comic books, or the world in general, apparently, is by reading comic books online. So, though that's not fun at all to look at.
Oh yeah, I tried it once and no.
Yeah.
Call me when Lujo gets a comic book store with English language comics. Yeah, no, I think that people are picking up printed material less, but I think there's still whole jobs that you need to do by looking at it on paper. Our brains don't handle digital renderings as well as they do analog. So we can't get rid of
printers, but we're getting rid of printing presses.
I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. We're not getting rid of our printer. When it broke, I got it fixed.
Yeah.
If it breaks again, I'll get it fixed again. So there.